This weekend will be full of protests, and the university just finished a forum talking about these events.
And we'll have the latest updates on what was discussed and if people's concerns were addressed coming up.
Good evening and thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Bess Pavlakovich.
And I'm Robbie Williams.
As many know, the rallies and protests set for this weekend have been a large topic of conversation on campus this week.
As a result, the university held a community conversation this afternoon to address concerns. NewsWatch reporter Camryn Sidley is live in the Union with more on the forum. Camryn?
Yeah, thanks guys, that's right. I'm live inside the Union Ballroom where the forum just ended a few minutes ago. It was a place where students and community members could come together and ask questions about the upcoming rallies and protests on campus. Attendees feel like they got the answers they needed in order to feel comfortable with the rallies on Saturday.
Of course, there's been a lot of connection linked with Charlottesville and the Charlottesville incident, and I just want to hear what our administration has to say and how they're taking the appropriate steps to ensure the safety of the students and ensure that nothing, violent goes down and it doesn't get out of hand.
Yes, I think letting a lot of people share their different views and opinions and unique points of view is a very good thing. Yeah.
I feel like I got the answers I need. I don't know if I feel lighter because, the rally still is going on and they didn't say that they could keep us safe per se, but they did say that they are taking every precaution to try to keep us safe. So I'm fine with that answer.
I'm all for equality, inclusivity, and I feel like those groups are not standing not side by side with the creed values, so therefore I will not be supporting them or will be in the vicinity at all.
Some of the big highlights of the forum was, despite rumors, the university's gun policy has not changed for this event. Conceal and carry is allowed on campus, but it cannot be used for intimidation. You can just allow to have it on the body. If you're a student or employee of the university, you are not allowed to have a gun on campus by any means, no matter what permit you may have. There was a break-in at the Oxford pawn shop earlier this week, but police are aware and know what has stolen and will be on the lookout for that. One of the biggest things said by communications is that the groups does not align with campus values and who we are. They stress that they want the entire community to be safe and will have resources including police, medical, and fire on site. Camryn Sidley reporting live from the Union Ballroom, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Thanks, Camryn. Students at Ole Miss are being warned to take safety precautions during the protest this Friday and Saturday. NewsWatch reporter Charisma Crump talked with some students regarding the rallies.
UPD put a statement out saying, while it is our sincere hope and strong recommendation that faculty, staff, and students completely avoid the area of the events, student Madeline Hill is worried about how this may look on the university.
I'm a little worried about the reputation of the university, that if the students don't keep a cool head, it might backlash on us in a poor way, whether it's for or against, the cause.
Some students feel indifferent about the march and aren't worried about what could possibly happen.
I mean, stuff like this happen every year, if not every other year. So it's just more like, okay, I think people just get in their feelings about certain things when I understand where they're coming from, but as a person that's had family on both sides, it's more like, it's just time, it's something to move past and move on.
Other students are leaving campus for the weekend to avoid any conflict that could arise.
I'm getting off campus as soon as I possibly can, and if stuff starts going wrong, I don't want to be here for it, honestly. And it seems like something where something could easily go wrong.
The Highwaymen are one of the groups protesting. They went live on Facebook this morning to react to how university officials are handling the march.
Well, I don't care. Way I look at it is, they don't show up, they don't show up. That just means a victory for us, guys.
I'm standing here where the march will be taking place on Friday. Students are advised to take precautionary measures if anything does get out of hand, and police will be here to protect all participants. Charisma Crump, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
We asked the University Police Department for an interview today, but they declined.
Some African-American students are planning to take a peaceful stand behind what they believe in. NewsWatch reporter Michael Lawrence has more about how these protests are planning to be heard.
Several organizations on campus have collaborated to plan a Black History Month march that will take place tomorrow. The participants will protest from Lamar Hall to the Confederate statue on the Circle. Among these groups is the UM Gospel Choir. President Jerry Adams says silence will make the movement more powerful.
And I think that's symbolic in nature. Historically, a lot of civil rights movements and African-American movements in the 60s were centered around peace and quiet and letting our actions speak for themselves.
Adams says this is an opportunity for students to express how they feel about the Confederate statue being located in the center of campus.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to see that this march tomorrow will be very diverse. Hopefully they will come out and support us, and I think it's an effort for the university to hear how we feel about that statue being at the heart of our campus.
The march is expected to have a big turnout. Assistant Director of FASTRACK, Jacqueline Certain, says this will go down in history.
We have what the history books say, but tomorrow is creating a new storyline for the University of Mississippi, will then go down in the history books.
Now I'm standing in front of the James Meredith statue. Now James Meredith is the first African-American student step foot at this university. With the protests taking place this coming week, it'll cause some controversy, but students will be able to stand up for their civil rights, just like James Meredith did. Michael Lawrence, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
And NewsWatch reporter Andronita Williams will have coverage of the BSU March on tomorrow's newscast. Protesting a protest. Students and Oxford community members are organizing a counter-protest against the Mississippi Stands rally Saturday. The rally is organized by the groups Confederate 901 and the Highwaymen. The counter-protest is planning for their march to be just as large as the Mississippi Stands rally. It will happen from 2:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. at the Circle. Right now, each Facebook event has people marking that they are attending. UPD has already made arrangements to work with local law enforcement in order to ensure the safety of students, faculty, and the people of Oxford.
And the Confederate rally is also concerning many journalists around Oxford. NewsWatch reporter Kennedy Glanzer reports on guidelines journalists can follow while covering controversial stories.
When journalists report on controversial topics, it can be difficult to balance free speech and ethical obligations. The natural friction while covering events with more than one opinion is apparent, so it's a reporter's duty to neutralize information being distributed. Poynter Institute senior faculty member Al Tompkins urges journalists to ask themselves this question when reporting on controversial topics.
Is there a way to cover this controversy and still maximize truth-telling, but at the same time minimize the harm? I sometimes use a medical example. So a doctor, for example, would say, look, I have to give you this shot, but I'll try to make it hurt as little as I can. But the truth is, the pain that I'm going to cause is nothing compared to the disease that we're going to prevent.
Along with other ethical guidelines reporters follow, fact-checking is a substantial tool used to keep the credibility of the sources and information intact. If a journalist is reporting on information that claims to be opinion versus fact, it's imperative they clarify the difference to reduce confusion. Tompkins reflects on the 4 parts of the Journalism Code of Ethics.
1. Seek truth and tell it as fully as possible. 2. Act independently, independent of your own biases and motivations. 3. Minimize harm. And the 4th part of the Code of Ethics, and I think this is the one we're worst at, is be accountable.
The 2 groups involved are Confederate 901 and Highwaymen. Tompkins gives a word of advice to the reporters as they prepare to cover both groups.
So be accountable and be accessible. It's an important part of journalism ethics, and my hope is that we'll give more serious thought to that.
The 2 groups will meet in the square starting at 1 p.m. before they begin their march to the Circle located on Ole Miss campus. The march is open to anyone who wishes to participate. I'm Kennedy Glanzer, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
Tompkins also says journalists should avoid sensational words in reporting. Over 150 students are expected to visit Ole Miss this weekend for Preview Day, but with the protest planned, it won't be a typical Saturday. NewsWatch reporter Megan Suttles worked to find out the plans for this day and if anything is changing.
This Saturday, prospective students from near and far are scheduled to visit campus for an Ole Miss Visit Day. Given the expected marches from the square to on campus, admissions is taking precautionary steps working to keep families safe. Quote, Admission staff has been in constant communication with university leadership about the marches scheduled for this weekend and have updated the visit day schedule to ensure that campus visitors will not have any interaction with protesters. The visit day programming will conclude well before marches are scheduled to begin, end quote. In addition to speaking with the admissions office, we also spoke to an Ole Miss ambassador who's planning on working the event.
We actually are having a special meeting today to kind of talk about what we should do as ambassadors to make sure that their experience, the students that are coming here, isn't going to kind of be tainted by the march that's going to happen on that day.
Junior Ashley Miller is a student who is taking these marches seriously and advises others to stay home.
I think that there's been a lot about weaponry, which obviously is what maybe most people are concerned about. So as a student, I would say just try to stay out of it. I mean, what they're looking for is attention, so kind of knowing that and maybe not giving them that attention will kind of clear this air.
Megan Suttles, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Organizers of the event say they expect a drop in attendance because of the march and the expected wet weather.
And Confederate 901 is taking to their Facebook page to tell their supporters what to expect this weekend. Despite the chance of rain, leaders of the group are telling members the march will go on, rain or shine. The march will stay on the square for an hour to an hour and a half before moving to the circle on campus. No sticks can be taken on campus, meaning flags supporters bring will have to be carried or worn. Supporters are not allowed to open carry any weapons, and supporters should expect to be searched by local law enforcement. But be sure to keep it with NewsWatch Ole Miss all week, as we will have continuing coverage of all of the events happening leading up to and on Saturday. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at NewsWatch_UM and to follow the Daily Mississippian at the DM_news for complete coverage. And due to campus protests, the athletic town hall meeting announced they have changed locations on campus. Sports Watch reporter Rebecca Donaldson is in the studio to let you know where to go. Rebecca?
Thanks, Robbie. Just an update on the athletic town hall meeting happening this weekend. It will now be held in the Manning Center, not the Inn at Ole Miss. The meeting will take place from 12:30 to 2 p.m. on Saturday in the Burns Team Meeting Room. This is a location that is very feasible for the meeting and away from the protests. I will be at the Manning Center this weekend to cover the meeting, and on Friday, our sports correspondent, Reagan Trammell, will have student reactions about the upcoming meeting. In terms of Ole Miss athletic events, not a whole lot is expected to change this weekend. Security is planning to be more present at the basketball game on Saturday, but it's expected to operate as it usually would. With these protests taking place, the athletics department has recognized that there are precautions to be taken. All in all, it should be a regular weekend for Rebel basketball with a tip-off at 2:30. Back to you guys.
Well, I'm glad it sounds like we'll at least have a regular weekend athletically.
Definitely, change would confuse everyone.
I agree. Thanks, Rebecca. Well, Samsung is redefining the term flip phone as they rolled out brand new products today.
Wow, and trying to smuggle drugs with fruit? It's not a very good idea. See how one man found that out the hard way coming up. But first, Delia Vandevelde has your first look at the current conditions.
Hey there, Oxford, and happy Wednesday. While luckily we didn't see much rain today, we can expect to see thunderstorms all weekend. This will bring in some flash flood watches and warmer temperatures. Now, as we take a look at the current radar, you can see that most of the rain has moved into Alabama and out of our area. Stay tuned later to see when the rain will return on my full report coming up on Storm Watch.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
When
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
The completion of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation is scheduled to be announced as early as next week. Attorney General William Barr will make the announcement as well as submit a summary of Mueller's confidential report to Congress. This announcement follows an investigation lasting nearly 2 years. The exact details of what Barr will send to Congress remains unclear, but he says he wants to be as transparent as possible. The precise timing of the announcement is subject to change. Is the flip phone back? Today, Samsung announced the new features of their new Galaxy products. The Galaxy S10 smartphones will include a 5G network, the ability to fold into a tablet, and the ability to charge another smartphone when pressed together. They are available in 3 different sizes and 5 different colors. Samsung also debuted the Galaxy Fold, which is a 4.6-inch smartphone that folds into a 7.3-inch tablet. The luxury device will cost nearly $2,000 and hit stores April 26th. All new devices will also include a fingerprint scanner on the front screen display.
Strawberries and sugar seem to be an unbreakable duo, but for one man, he'd rather use meth. This past weekend, nearly $13 million worth of drugs was found by Customs and Border Protection officers. The trailer carrying a shipment of strawberries along with 906 pounds of meth was discovered at a major port of entry on the United States-Mexico border. Port Director David Gonzalez says it was a great interception for officers. The man is now in the custody of Homeland Security for further investigations. Tens of millions of Americans need to bundle up and be cautious on the roadways. Another wintry blast is blanketing much of the U.S.
Road crews are ready for a potent winter storm.
We're at 97% capacity for all of our materials that we would need, and we order or create more brine as is needed.
Tens of millions of Americans from the plains to the northeast are under a winter weather watch, warning, or advisory.
We've given it sufficient window of time for the brine to be able to dry and take effect.
Warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico is combining with a cold system from the Rockies, producing a wintry mix. Among the areas expected to get hit especially hard are Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, where up to 6 inches of snow and sleet is expected to fall.
I bought more food than I ever buy, and I don't know why. I'll be eating off of that food next month.
I actually got this car because of my job. It has 4-wheel drive, and so that's kind of the part of the deal is we have to work when everything else is closed.
Other parts of the East Coast are also going to get pounded. A state of emergency is declared for today for all of New Jersey's 21 counties. And some of the spots not getting snow are getting buckets of rain. Flash flood watches are in effect from North Alabama all the way to West Virginia.
The National Weather Service says this winter storm should start to taper off by tomorrow.
Well, that makes me happy, but I'm kind of bummed it might be raining over the next few days.
Definitely. I plan to sunbathe.
Me too. Lord knows I need it. Well, Oxford averages show that 18 days in February are usually filled with rain.
And Delia Vandevelde will update you on how Oxford's future weather may stay true to that trend up next.
Leah, did you put a new dent in that? This one? No. Were you texting and driving again? Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Disaster tips from the objects left behind.
My home wasn't insured, but you can check your insurance policy now to make sure you're covered.
Oh.
My savings are lost, but you can put money aside and plan for unexpected disaster costs.
we're lost forever. But you can scan important documents now so they survive.
For more tips on how to prepare, visit ready.gov.
Good evening and welcome back to Storm Watch. It is currently 49 degrees with cloudy skies, some light winds, and a 40% chance of rain. As we take a look at the current satellite image, you can see that there are cloud cover in Oxford. However, most of that rain has pushed east of us. Taking a look at the temperatures across the map, you can tell everywhere sitting in the upper 40s with Oxford and Holly Springs at 49, South Haven and Corinth with a temperature of 47, and Tupelo currently at 48. As for the temperatures tomorrow, they will be very similar than they were today, with a high of 48 in Oxford, 47 in South Haven and Holly Springs, a high of 46 in Corinth, and a high of 49 in Tupelo. Tonight, we can expect temperatures to drop down to around 37 degrees with partly cloudy skies, a small 40% chance of rain. As for tomorrow, we can expect to see a high of 48 degrees, and unfortunately, we will see some thunderstorms move in tomorrow afternoon that will continue for a solid 52 hours, so be prepared for that rain. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast, you can see that rain is expected at 100% on Friday and Saturday, but luckily, moving into next week, things will clear up. Back to you.
Well, I guess we just have to brave through those next 52 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Now I can go sunbathing, right?
Yes. Thanks, Delia. Well, the Rebels' 4-game winning streak came to a halt last night in South Carolina. See what went wrong for nearly 8 minutes that caused the loss.
And the baseball team is finally playing their first midweek game against Arkansas State. We'll give you a score update up next in Sports Watch.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Good evening and welcome to Sports Watch. Once again, I'm Rebecca Donaldson. Heading over to the court, last night the Ole Miss men's basketball team fell short to South Carolina with a final score of 79-65. This loss broke the team's 4-game winning streak. The Rebels had a hot start, making their first 5 shots, but then turned cold and an 11-point lead turned into an 11-point deficit. While their scoring has been impressive this season, the Rebels have had an almost 8-minute drought during the game. Brian and Tyree and Terrence Davis are continuing to lead the team with last night's combined total of 37 points scored. You can see if Davis and Tyree will start another winning streak this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. against Georgia. Get ready, Rebel fans. After a canceled game this weekend, Ole Miss baseball is back with the first midweek matchup of the season. The Rebels are currently hosting Arkansas State. Heading into the bottom of the first inning, Arkansas State has a 2-point lead over Ole Miss. This has been an interesting time for Ole Miss since the entire starting pitcher rotation for the weekend was selected in the 2018 MLB draft. But after an exciting season last year, many Rebel fans are ready to see how this season is going to look. An update on the football player Le'Veon Bell's status was released today. After for an entire calendar year, the Steelers have announced the release of Bell, making him a free agent now. Bell was expected to be traded in October, so this is not a shocking occurrence. The All-Pro running back actually rejoiced the news, tweeting that he is free at last. The Steelers will receive a 2020 compensatory pick that could be worth as high as a third-round selection pick. This is unclear and up for debate what transition tag will be for Bell because he sat out, but hopefully a decision can be made soon. Hitting it back over to the Diamond, Liberty University outfitter Aiden Carracker made what some are already calling the catch of the year and even risked his safety to make it happen.
Wanted to get right back out there as soon as they could.
That one shot down the right field line. Carracker giving chase. Oh my! Did he get? Oh, he made the catch! Are you kidding me? Carracker with the grab, the head over heels flip, and somehow hung onto the baseball. Look at that again. The catch. First of all, knowing that fence is coming, he didn't slow.
What an amazing catch that was, and it is only the first week of the season. Carracker showed that he was definitely going to make that catch, no matter what it took. That's all for sports. Today, be sure to follow us at NewsWatch_UM on Twitter for the latest updates in Ole Miss sports. Anna, Bess, and Robbie, back to you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Well, it may possibly be the best national day ever.
It's time to snuggle up to your pets and appreciate them just a little more on this pretty good day. So stay tuned.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Pet lovers will have no trouble celebrating this holiday. Today is National Love Your Pet Day. Set aside some time to give your pet or pets some extra TLC and maybe treat them to some of their favorite goodies.
You can even dress them up in some cute costumes like these. According to the most recent survey by American Pet Products Association, 68% of U.S. households have a pet. Use hashtag National Love Your Pet Day to share photos on social media.
So even though it's National Love Your Pet Day, it sounds like maybe this weekend I won't be able to walk my dog.
No, I don't think there will be any walking your dog. We will expect
Rain all Friday and all Saturday, but things will clear up on Sunday.
Sounds good. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Bess Pavlakovich.
Be sure to join us here again on air tomorrow at 5 and on our Facebook live stream. You can also find our show on hottytoddy.com. I'm Robbie Williams. Thank you and have a good night.